Are you currently spending time and money on marketing to bring in some new business, but you're not sure if it's exactly working? This could be extremely frustrating. I mean, look, this is a pain point for a lot of agents. And if you keep wastefully spending your marketing budget on things you cannot measure and not get an ROI for, on your investment really quick, you're going to run out of money. Now, as the saying goes, what could be measured can be improved. And if you're not measuring your ad spend, how can you really improve it? Which brings me to the topic of today's conversation, which is really all about knowing your numbers. I want to go a little deep to really help you understand what you should be measuring so you have a better idea on what's working and what's not working with regards to your marketing, so that you can get the best bang for your buck when it comes to your return on ad spend. So let's go. Now, wouldn't it be great to know exactly how much it costs to acquire a new client? That way, you know exactly how much you need to be allocating toward your marketing budget to get, X amount of clients per month. And by having that predictability, you've effectively projected how soon you can reach your goals. You see, this is a real thing, and there's actually a term for it. It's called cost per acquisition. Now, by definition, cost per acquisition essentially means the cost to acquire a new client. All right, that being said, your goal with your initial marketing budget is really to try to synthesize and find out what your cost per acquisition or your CPA is. But really, in order to do that, I first need to break down some math for you. Don't worry, it's not gonna be anything overly complicated. It's really just some simple multiplication and division. But honestly, I wanna make this as easy for you as possible. So check this out. Hop into this URL that you're seeing on your screen now. It links to a really cool worksheet that I created for you that you can really play around with, and it will make it a lot easier for you to synthesize these numbers. All right, now before I kick things off really explaining how this stuff works, first thing I want you to do, head over to File and make a copy. This is going to be a read-only document, so you're going to want to make a copy for yourself so you can come in here and start playing around with the numbers yourself. All right, also on another note, I know for some of you that are watching this video, this is probably going to be the first time you're really allocating money toward really marketing yourself. So you probably want to use this to really project out your marketing budget. And for the rest of you that actually have started allocating money towards really putting yourself out there, then you can simply just plug and play some of the numbers from the data that you've already collected. Oh, and by the way, if you don't have any of this data yet, then this is your opportunity to now start collecting it. All right, one more quick thing. As you can see here, we got a couple colors. Your job, you only really need to worry about filling in these blocks or these cells in yellow. Everything else has some sort of computation associated to it, so you don't need to worry about that. Just fill in the blocks in yellow. All right, let's start this off by really explaining to you that in order for you to be able to compute your cost per acquisition, we first really need to do some preliminary math. And that first really step for that preliminary math is really trying to figure out and compute what your cost per lead is. And to figure out what your cost per lead is, all you're simply doing is taking your total ad spend or your total marketing budget for the month, for example, and then dividing that by the number of leads that you're able to capture from it. So if we're looking at my screen here, for example, I have a marketing budget of, let's say, $2,000 a month. And of that $2,000 a month, I divide that by the number of leads I've been able to capture, which is 16, and that gives me my cost per lead. Now, the next thing I want to help you compute is really right here, step 3. We need to compute the cost per appointment. And your cost per appointment is essentially the amount of money that it really costs you to capture someone, to get them really on your calendar. And you do this really through a 2-step process. First, you need to take the number of appointments that you've been able to capture from the number of leads that you've generated in step 2, and you really just divide it, and it gives you a percentage. And then from there, you take your cost per lead, and then you divide that by that percentage, and then it gives you how much you're really spending per appointment. So let's say, for example, of the 16 leads that I was able to capture, I was able to get 2 appointments booked on the calendar. So 2 divided by 16 equals 13%. Now my cost per lead is $125, and I divide that by my appointment percentage, which is 13%, and that gives me $1,000. So I know that if I want to capture new leads, each new lead essentially costs me $125, and each new appointment costs me $1,000. Now let's move into step 4, which is really computing what your cost per acquisition is. And this is really the magic number that we need to be looking out for in terms of what we need to be spending to get a new client. And it's simple math as well. All it is taking the number of conversions or the number of people that you've been able to turn into clients from the number of appointments and really just dividing the two. So let's say that of the 2 appointments that I got, I was only able to convert one of them as a client. So 1 divided by 2 gives me a 50% conversion rate. And my cost per lead is, of course, $1,000. And I want to divide that by my conversion percentage, which is 50%, which essentially gives me that magic number here. Ta-da! Your cost per acquisition. That being said, I now know that for each new client that I'm able to capture, it's going to cost me $2,000. So I need to start allocating that and really keeping that in mind in my marketing budget. Now, the cool part about this sheet is I actually added a separate step here. Step 5 is really, it's really designed to compute your marketing budget. So now that we have your actual cost per acquisition number, let's say that, I wanted 10 clients for the month. So all I simply need to do is input how many clients, and in this case, it's 10. I take that cost per acquisition, multiply it by the number of clients, and that really just outputs and computes what my marketing budget should be for the month. And there you have it, easy peasy, right? Look, I know this is really rudimentary math, by the way, and these numbers are not real numbers. I'm really just here to prove a point in terms of how quick and easy it is to really start understanding your numbers and understanding the math that you need to be looking at to really measure the success or really the cost it takes for you to acquire a new client. Now, there's one last quick thing I want to note with regards to this sheet here, and that is these percentage numbers right here on the left. Now, these percentage numbers are an indication of your conversion rate per each part of your sales funnel. By the way, if you're not sure what a sales funnel is yet, don't worry. I'm making a video that's going to be releasing very, very soon. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get notified when we publish it. That being said, there is an industry standard as it comes to conversion rates per percentages for the sales funnel. And that industry standard really just indicates that your cost per lead should be anywhere above 2%. And really under 2%, that's bad. Now, if we're talking about the cost that it takes to really set an appointment from the leads that you've been able to generate, that number, that magic number is 20%. And of course, anything under 20% is considered bad. And the last number that you need to be really familiar with is the cost per acquisition. Now, this number is typically 40%. So obviously anything under 40% is bad. So as you can see here, my conversion rate or my cost per acquisition rate is actually really good. I'm at 50%. But aside from that, my percentage or conversion rate when it comes to cost per lead and cost per appointment, it's red. It's definitely under the industry standard. So it's a clear indication that I have a problem and I need to do some fixing and some tinkering. All right, now some real talk for you. If you need help better understanding some of this stuff, or if you need help tracking your numbers because they are all subpar, I highly recommend that you join our free Facebook group, leaving it in the description below. It's where we're talking all things about real estate, as well as digital marketing, websites, and all this other cool stuff like the math problem I just showed you here. So go ahead, join in on the conversation. I am more than happy to work with you and help you pick apart really where you're stuck when it comes to knowing your numbers. That said, I truly hope you found some value in this video. And if you did, and you're gonna start tracking your numbers, I wanna know, drop it in the comment section below. I know my numbers. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until the next one, have an amazing day. Bye-bye.